My name is Ryan Bolton. I am a Bible nerd. I love studying the Bible. I love reading the different translations. I love the commentaries. I got a whole bunch up here. In fact, I got three of them just sitting right here, different versions, study guides, notes over here. And I really wanted to do a Bible study. I really wanted to convey some of the things I've been learning and the excitement I have for this wonderful, wonderful collection. I just love studying the Bible. So part of this channel was to be able to do some Bible study. So I started thinking, okay, what book do I want to start with? You could start with Genesis, obviously. There's so many wonderful things in there. You can start with Isaiah. It's got incredible prophecy, and it's a pretty tough book sometimes. But I started thinking, okay, what book do I use the most in the Old Testament? And which one do I get kind of excited about talking about? And it came to me. I'm like, Proverbs. I love the Book of Proverbs. And I love the little sayings. I love the little references. I love the little do this, do that kind of thing. If you do this, this will happen. If you do that, that'll happen, you know. And I love that it's not all law. It's not prophecy. It's not even really promises. It's just how to live a better life, how to be more in line with the mind that created this whole thing. Because there's obviously a law of human nature. There's morality. There's sciences, all this stuff that had to be created by some sort of mind. And we can get a feeling of things that he prefers and things that he doesn't. And the more we can get in line with that, the better our life will go. It's simple as that. Will it go perfect? No. Will there be problems? Yeah. Ask Job. Ask Ecclesiastes. Ask anybody that's lived right and still had their car break down. I mean, that's still going to be life. But this feels as one of the more practical uses of Scripture that isn't just always laws, prophecies, crazy stories and just war and all the other stuff that's in the Bible. So I love the Bible, but I really wanted to start with the Book of Proverbs because I think that it's one of those books that doesn't maybe get talked about quite as much because it is just a bunch of collection of sayings. There's 513 little sayings within the book. There was 3,000 that were kind of collected and turned into these 513. So let's kind of back up a little bit. So Proverbs was written or credited to King Solomon. Many people believe that it was probably after he had passed away. They kind of collected all of his stuff and kind of turned it into this book of wisdom. The last two chapters are actually credited to other people that have some stories that kind of tie into Proverbs. But most people know Proverbs as all those sayings, but those are chapters 10 through 29. So the last two chapters are actually two more stories, but the first 9 chapters are these great little references to a father to his son. So it's advice on how to live life and to seek after wisdom and to avoid folly and to avoid adulterous women. That comes up a bunch. But it's something where it gives you just great pointers from a father to his son. And I love that imagery of experienced people that are kind of at a certain stage in life. They've gone through their adolescence. They've gone and made their own mistakes. They blazed their own trail kind of thing. And then they look back and say, what advice can I give to my son and the next generation to maybe avoid the things that trip me up, maybe avoid the things that cause me heartache, that is so easy to fall into and so easy for the youth to just say, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm just going to go blaze my own trail. I'm going to go do my own thing. And so many times it's amazing the mistakes we make every generation, that if we just listen to our parents, listen to those, older than us, that maybe we don't have to make the same mistakes or make them even worse, unfortunately. So I love the Book of Proverbs. There's so many times where I'll have something come up in my life and I love referencing what does Proverbs have to say with it, or what does the Bible have to say in general. And I'll do a little search or I'll start searching it. And I'm amazed at how often it's in here. Everything you can run across is in this thing. I mean, it's thick. There's a lot of stuff going on. But it's incredible how amazing this book is. So let's talk about Solomon real quick. So Solomon is known as the wisest man ever, and especially in the Old Testament and the Bible, known as the most wise man. And here's kind of the story how that happened. So David passes away. Solomon is visited by God in a dream, and God asks him, what do you want me to do for you, essentially? And I love how Solomon first responds. He gives thanks for his father. He gives thanks for God putting him on the throne, even though he was younger and not as experienced. So he asks for wisdom to guide the people. And I love how God responds right here. It says, the Lord was pleased with Solomon. The Lord was pleased that Solomon made this request. God said to him, because you asked for the ability to make wise decisions and not for long life or for riches or vengeance on your enemies, I grant your request and give you a wise and discerning mind, superior to that of anyone who has preceded or will succeed you. This is 1 Kings chapter 3. That starts in verse 10. What an incredible promise. And you can see that through most of Solomon's life, he was just gained wisdom. He was always seeking after wisdom. He had incredible libraries and scrolls collected for botany and animals and planets and astrology and just all this stuff that he was trying to accumulate. And many, many people around the ancient world would come to him for advice. And you see all these interactions in the Bible where he gave sound advice and discernment and really helped to guide the people. Now, later on in life, did he make some bad decisions? Sure. Did he have problems of his own? Absolutely. But he's definitely credited for seeking after that wisdom and being somebody that had a very sound, discerning mind that was definitely granted to him through this request. So let's jump into Proverbs. The first thing you'll see is there's a lot of talk of wisdom. Now, wisdom is the word hokmah, and that is spelled, I got to write it down right here, KhokHman, hokmah. So my Hebrew is probably not as good as other people, but what a fun word, hokmah. And the idea is wisdom. Wisdom's how it's been translated, but it's a little bit more than that. The English word probably falls short because it's applied wisdom. It's when you see somebody that maybe crafts a marble statue or something like that, it's that applied craftsmanship. It's that applied knowledge. It's this sense that somebody had to not only be skilled mentally, but also physically. And it's just a combination of both to be able to make a beautiful cabinet or a beautiful sculpture, or a beautiful painting. I tell you, that's what I see. I am not artistic. My stick figures probably, have one arm longer than the other. I'm not an artist. So I'm always awestruck when I see a marble statue or just beautiful carpentry. I remember one time I was at this house that had this mantle that blew me away, and I just kept staring at it. The intricacies of the cuts and how the wood was put together, the staining, just the different details of this thing just were brilliant. Were just amazing, like literally brilliant, like the wisdom and just the skill and the patience it would take to build that and just have it be that mind there. You know what I mean? That the physical or the mental manifestation is now a physical thing sitting right there. And I think that that's what I see when I see creation, when I see this incredible planet that is so finely tuned. I saw this thing one time that said if we were further from the sun or closer to the sun, our life would be, the existence on the planet would be completely, radically different or non-existent altogether. It'd be the other planet. You can see the other planets even in our solar system can't sustain life because of that distance from the sun. And I remember seeing a crazy TED Talk. You can probably look it up, but it talked about how there's this Goldilocks zone is what they call it, from that distance from the sun. And they've been able to kind of look out at all the other stars, trying to find a planet that kind of fits within that zone, knowing, okay, there's a chance there could be life within that zone. And so far they haven't found even one. And you look at it and think, man, there's a chance. Most likely there's got to be life out there. There's too many suns, too many stars, billions, trillion numbers that are just massively huge. But there's also a huge chance there isn't any other life because it doesn't fit within that little Goldilocks zone, either too close to the sun, too far away from the sun, whatever it is. I mean, there's some suns that are hundreds of times bigger than our entire, solar system, or, the distance between us and the earth. I remember seeing something, there's a sun that's like 100,000 of our suns, which is 100,000 times bigger than our earth. So I'm messing all these numbers up, but you get the idea that we are so finely tuned that I can live on a planet that deer and dogs and fish and insects and snakes, all these other creatures can also live on. But they're so finely tuned. And I look at that as what an incredible creation. And I look at it and think, what's the mind behind that? And there's this reverent fear of the Lord. So that's what you see in Proverbs as well, is this reference to the fear of the Lord. It's not a fear like he's going to jump around the corner and bite you, or a fear that he's going to catch you doing something wrong, or a fear of being attacked or injured or something like that. It's this reverent awe of the mind that's behind this entire thing, behind things seen and unseen, between the gravitational pull of the earth to morality, to love, to joy, to imagination, all the things that were created by this powerful mind and the awe behind it. I kind of use this analogy as well. So kind of the fear of the Lord is the idea. Let's say you're having a fight with your siblings or something like that, and you're obviously one of you is right and wrong. Maybe you ripped the doll, or you took away the doll, or you ate the pie, whatever you fight with your siblings about. And all of a sudden grandpa walks in the room. What usually happens? Everybody kind of, ooh, grandpa's here, right? There's this fear, a little bit of fear, a little bit of awe, like, oh man, a more experienced, a wiser, a more powerful, in a sense, person has just entered the room. That's how I equate fear of the Lord, is the sense that somebody greater, bigger, more knowledgeable, more powerful, more holy, more bright, more muchness has just walked into the room. And my first reaction is, oh man, I shrink. You see that in any interaction within the Bible. You have all the times where an angel would show up, or an experience with God. The first reaction is, oh, fear. It's fear. It's like, holy cow, wow, something holier and brighter and more majesty and just pure knowledge that just flows out of that entity has got to be scary. It's got to be scary. But it's also a reverence to be like, wow, I am nothing compared to that thing. I am so small. I'm just going to burn up. Just like if I got any closer to the sun, I would just burn up, especially if I got right next to the darn thing, right? But it's still an awe, a reverence of that thing. And that's what the fear of the Lord is all about. So you got kind of two things. You got Hokmah, this wisdom concept, seeking after wisdom, skilled wisdom, not just heart knowledge, head knowledge, the whole thing. It's both. It's this idea of applied wisdom, talent, applied practical use of your time that you have. That's what you're trying to seek after, is this concept of wisdom and this fear of the Lord. That's very prominent throughout most of the Proverbs, is seeking after knowledge and a reverent fear of the Lord. So one other thing I want to bring up. So I love, move this out of the way here. So the next thing I love about the Book of Proverbs, and you got to read the first 9 chapters. I really recommend you sit down and go through those. And then anytime you have something come up in your life, maybe just check Proverbs and see what it has to say about it. You'll be amazed how many times it's in there, and you might be amazed at how much it can just clarify something. Maybe something in your mind, you can't figure out a decision, then you check it out and it says something and it just kind of clicks. I can't tell you how many times that's happened for me. So I highly recommend you check that out. But one of the things I love about Proverbs is this personification of wisdom as a lady that's seeking after us, that's trying to find people that are seeking after her. So we'll call her Lady Wisdom. That's what I hear in a lot of commentaries, is they call her Lady Wisdom. So let's see when she first comes on the scene. It's chapter 1, verse 20, right here. Wisdom shouts in the streets. She lifts her voice in the square. At the head of the noisy streets, she cries out. Something else I want to bring up right here. A lot of times within the Holy Bible, you're going to see times where there'll be a saying and then the same kind of thing just twisted just a little bit. The whole idea with this is to help with memorization. You have to remember, they didn't have this. The Israelites didn't have a book, Bible, paper, and many of them didn't even read. Literacy wasn't as prominent as it is today. So they had to kind of memorize these things, internalize them, and by being able to say a sentence, kind of tweaking it a second way, not only did it help you memorize, but it helped you internalize the story. So you'll see that throughout Psalms. You'll see that through so many of the stories, that they'll say it and then say it again. It's a parallelism. It's a way of being able to help you memorize. It's a way to be able to help you internalize what's actually saying. So you can see it's a perfect example right here. She lifts her voice in the square. At the head of the noisy street, she cries out. At the entrance of the gates of the city, she utters her sayings. How long, O naive ones, will you love being simple-minded? And scoffers delight themselves in scoffing, and fools hate knowledge. Turn to my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit on you. I will make my words known to you, because I called and you refused. I stretch out my hand and no one paid attention, and you neglected my counsel and did not want my reproof. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when dread comes. When your dread comes like a storm and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish comes upon you, then they will call on me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me. Because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, they will not accept my counsel. They'll spurn all my reproof. So they shall eat of the fruit of their own way and will be satisfied with their own devices. For the waywardness of the naive will kill them, and the complacencies of fools will destroy them. But, I love it. I love the buts. I love the but gods. There's all these sayings where it's like something, but then God stepped in. But he who listens to me shall live securely and will be at ease from dread of evil. Doesn't say evil won't come. Doesn't say that nothing bad will happen. But how much better would your life be if the dread of it wouldn't happen, or that it would subside quicker because you were more at ease knowing this stuff, knowing and guiding and seeking after wisdom? This is a promise in the sense of easing the burden. It's not going to get rid of all the burden. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, hey, if you read this book, your life will go perfect from now on. In fact, sometimes getting in this stuff brings enemies you didn't even know you had. There'll be stuff that'll show up. They're like, wow, why did that happen? I'm following, I'm reading, I'm praying, but it's almost an ease comes about it. It's like, okay, come what may. It is well with my soul. These types of things will give you comfort when the evil does come, because it will come. But the dread of it, the worrying about tomorrow, the worry of it is lessened with seeking wisdom and the fear of the Lord. That's what I'm trying to convey with this, and why I love this reminder in the Book of Proverbs. All right, let's jump to another time where Lady Wisdom pops on the scene. If you go to chapter 3, verse 13, right here we go. Here's Lady Wisdom again. How blessed is the man who finds wisdom and the man who gains understanding. For her, wisdom, profit is better than the profit of silver, and her grain better than fine gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire compares to her. Long life is in her right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are pleasant ways, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her, and happy are all who hold her fast. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths were broken up, and the skies drip with dew. Beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 8. This is where you actually get Lady Wisdom talking for herself. So that was just kind of describing and kind of sprinkling in some of the thoughts here. But I love where she actually opens her mouth and starts speaking in this chapter. It's kind of a poem. It's credited as a poem of Lady Wisdom. So let's go to chapter 8, verse 5. To verse 4. To you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men. O naive ones, understand prudence, and O fools, understand wisdom. Listen, for I will speak noble things, and the opening of my lips will reveal right things. For my mouth will utter truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the utterances of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing crooked or perverted in them. They are all straightforward to him who understands, and right to those who find knowledge. Take my instruction and not silver, and knowledge rather than choicest gold. For wisdom is better than jewels, and all desirable things cannot compare to her. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and I find knowledge and discretion. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Pride and pride and arrogance, and the evil way, and the perverted mouth I hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding. Power is mine. By me kings reign, and rulers decree justice. By me princes rule, and nobles who judge rightly. I love those who love me, and those who diligently seek me will find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, even pure gold, and my yield better than the choicest silver. I walk in the way of righteousness, in the midst of the path of justice, to endow those who love me with wealth, that I may fill their treasures. What a great promise. I mean, just what a great promise. All right, let's go to chapter 9. All right. Ready for this one? I don't know if it gets any better than this. This is awesome. Here we go. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. She has prepared her food. She has mixed her wine. She has set her table. She has set her maidens, or sent out her maidens, she calls, from the tops of the heights of the city. Whoever is naive, let them turn in here. To him who lacks understanding, she says, come, eat of my fruit, or eat of my food, sorry. Come, eat of my food, and drink of my wine I have mixed. Forsake your folly and live, and proceed in the way of understanding. He who corrects a scoffer gets dishonored for himself, and he who reproves a wicked man gets insulted for himself. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he will hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Give instruction to the wise man, and he will be wiser still. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase his learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So I love it. The fear of the Lord, beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. The fear of the Lord, where was it back here? We got another reference. What was that one right here? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. I hope you found this useful. I really had a lot of fun going through it. There's so much more to Proverbs that if you just dive into it, but I wanted to give you maybe a little excitement about reading this book, about putting it back on your radar. I don't hear it get talked about nearly as much as the other books of the Bible, when I found that it's one of the more practical, wisdom guided type thing, and so much great encouragement. And just the fact that every time that I've come up with something, it's in there. It just blows me away that if I come up with any situation, what does it say about this? Bam, it's in there. So I hope you fall in love with the Book of Proverbs like I have. I hope you study it, and hope you look forward to our next videos. I got a bunch planned. I got some Q&As planned. I got a whole bunch of things planned, but I'd love to have it be a part of this. Ask questions, comments, concerns, anything like that in the comments. Like and subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.